All right, Banlist reaction. Why not? I just finished work. Banlist is out. Figured I'd react to it. No camera, because I did take my camera somewhere else to do an event while I was out of town. And it's still in my car, so I don't have my webcam. But hey, let's just go in blind. Obviously, like, it says that we're sending Like a Void to Tartarus as the video. So that's a spoiler. I already get to know this. This is crazy. So obviously the reason we all were like, we want to see Werepup go to 1 is because we didn't think they'd hit a card that just came out. However, they did release this as like a common or uncommon, and it's like, whatever. That's probably kind of foreshadowing that they were happy to hit this. So they hit this, and that's fine. It happens. This is better than hitting Werepup. Obviously, I prefer they hit this over Werepup because I really like Werepup as a card. I like the old Like a Void. It's fine. Nothing busted. Really fair. This, however, no. This was too much. But hey, let's continue on.
Like a Void, Champion of Artemis to Tartarus.
Now, look, the thing is, like, it's not that the card is like, I mean, the card is really broken. It's not the card can't be competed with. It is that you have to be prepared for it. You have to be playing around it at all times, and that's not a good experience.
Sort of.
Sort of? What do you mean, sort of?
It's time to announce the mid-season ban and restricted list update for Elestrals TCG. This list will be effective on July 29th when Elestrals Clash goes into early access on Steam. If you have not wishlisted Elestrals Clash, you definitely should do so. And get excited as players around the world will have an opportunity to play Elestrals for.
Also, if you haven't yet, check out the Lumaru's channel. Some card leaks for live stream over there.
Free from the comfort of their home, and every card is free. It's going to be incredible. We've got this awesome list here to shake up the metagame just in time for that, and this new ban and limited list will be active for the August 2nd premiere event, as well as the duration and remainder of the Firestorm metagame. After extensive testing from our ban team and taking in feedback from the top players in the game, we've ultimately made some decisions to limit a handful of cards in the metagame to create a more diverse play experience, reduce fatigue from certain strategies, and ultimately make Elestrals better for it. It's worth noting that any card that is added to a limited or ban list may come off of it in the future, as we are always testing different strategies and ideas to create the best play experience at the highest levels of competitive play for all players. The first card that we are limiting to 1 copy, effective July 29th, is Hurricane. Hurricane was originally introduced to the game to help quell some of the challenges of players setting multiple back row and other players having to fight through that back row to ultimately gain any sort of.
I don't agree with this. Like, I know Hurricane is insane, but it was to mitigate set 4 playing Elestral, and now that's going to be really live again. I'm not a big fan of this. Back row removal is already so difficult to come by. However, Gloombat fans and Aviolith fans, I do have my Stellar Aviolith if anyone wants it. You know, Aviolith can like see play now. That's the win one, right? So if anyone wants a Stellar Aviolith, hit me up. Aviolith has more playability now because now there's more reason to set your back row. And now this card just becomes a sacky one of, which feels worse when you're hit by it. I'm not a fan. Find us, search.
Advantage in the clash. While this certainly does do what it intends to do, it also creates non-interaction points where players don't have any opportunity to make any moves and stop their opponent, which is a huge part of what Elestrals actually is. Hurricane is one of those cards that's fun to use when you're the one using it, but it feels terrible when you get blown back and your entire rune row is destroyed, and then your opponent sets up some crazy combo and you have no opportunities to interact. By putting Hurricane as a power card to 1 copy will require players to make some more difficult decisions when managing their spirit deck of whether or not they want to include the spirits to justify 1 Hurricane. We're going to continue to develop more face down removal for the game that doesn't quite have.
I think you'll see more players playing Hurricane. Like, more decks will have Hurricane that wouldn't before, because now it's easier to slot in 1.
This same effect as Hurricane where it blows up the entire field, but rather can be used a little bit more strategically, like a thunderstorm or like a blizzard, for example. Part of this decision to limit Hurricane takes into consideration some of the cards coming in Divine Champions livestream. and some strategies that may kind of conflict with what Hurricane is trying to do. Cards like Thunderstorm are going to see a lot more play, and because of that, players are going to need to be able to account for that by setting multiple back row. In a world where Thunderstorm is one of the top tier cards in the game, and Hurricane is at 3 copies, I think we're going to create a very bad player experience for many players and result in many non-interactive games. Hurricane is a card that we're going to continue to test and monitor, but I feel very optimistic with it at 1 copy. The next card we are limiting to 1 copy is Kinleo. Kinleo has long been one of the strongest Nexus Elestral users in the game, being able to destroy an Elestral on the field regardless of their enchantment cost simply by Nexusing. His full potential hasn't been met up until Hephaestus and the artifact support came in Firestorm, allowing it to unleash its full power and become one of the most dominant decks in the metagame. I've heard this saying many times that it's the second Kinleo that gets you, and Firecasters will have plenty of tools to access their 1 copy of Kinleo through cards like Smoltuga and Stoke the Forge to minimize the impact of this hit, but allow other players to focus their counters onto dealing with this powerful threat and ensuring that, generally speaking, they won't have to deal with it again once they see the Kinleo 1 time. The third and final card that will be limited to 1 copy for this list is Moralith. Now, in our last ban list, we made a limit to Rise from the Ashes, which was designed as a way to reduce the power level of Blitztrix. And then Josh went and won a tournament with Blitztrix, and we were like, oh wait, that's a thing. And his
because Moralith, once Bromelink's comes out, Moralith is more powerful than Rise was. Like, it's a mill 5 8. Like, it's an 8 that you just normal cast in the deck now, instead of, like, you know, paying 6 to get back a card you've, like, to get back the Blitztrix. It's like, yeah, I can pay 6 to get Blitztrix, or I can pay 2 to drop an 8 that mills 5 and puts a Cetasaur on the board. So I'm paying, what, 4 for an 8 and a 6?
Combination of utilizing Mountains of Boreas alongside Brumalinks to increase the power level of his Cedar Swords and his Moraliths became incredibly overwhelming for other players. Moralith is a very unique card in the context of the other Lith Elestrals because its condition to be cast is not necessarily a comeback mechanic. It can be generated very advantageously by simply playing pieces like Morfrost Lycanform to be able to load up your Underworld and then resolve Moralith's casting condition.
I feel like Lycanform might see less play now that Moralith is at 1. Like, one of the main reasons to play Lycanform is because you can turn 1 Moralith. But now it's like, I don't know. It makes it more of a, you know, cool card. I still think Lycanform is good because it does give you a removal piece. It essentially just gives you...
Stealth Mill is a strategy that has a good amount of support coming in upcoming sets, and I think that if Moralith stays at 3 copies, it would become way too overwhelming for players to deal with. I also think the Frost Element has a couple really cool strategies that can be explored and will continue to be highlighted in upcoming sets, and by giving a little bit more room to breathe for those other Elestrals and cards, we should see more diverse strategies coming out of the Frost Element. I think all 3 of these changes will be a very positive change to the metagame, allowing players to explore new options and remove some of the more powerful cards and limit them so that their frequency is simply reduced. I think specifically with the launch of Clash as well.
So with Equilinks, when that got limited, it still saw play in every deck, or in a lot of good decks. And then this format, it's completely fallen off. It sees 0 play. I think with Hurricane to 1, Equilinks will see more play. However, Kinleo will see more splashability for a little bit and then will eventually fall off.
This should give a better new player experience for anyone trying Elestrals for the first time. I mentioned in the introduction of this video that Lycavoid, Champion of Artemis, was going to be banned and sent to Tartarus, and that is indeed true. We are indeed banning Lycavoid, Champion of Artemis. This was a card that we tested extensively and looked at various combinations on how to solve the splashability of the Lycavoid package and the overwhelming nature of swarming the field with multiple Werepup without much interaction from your opponent. The 6/5 stat line proves to be very challenging for players to deal with, and it's all the Werepups that hit the field that can turbo into various ascensions that become very overwhelming, where if the first person to establish their Lycavoid ultimately will generally win the clash, and that creates an unfun game experience for many players, especially new players who are entering the game. We looked at opportunities like limiting Werepup to 1 copy, or even banning Full Moon, but ultimately the decision to ban Lycavoid, Champion of Artemis is a unique one, because we have a very different solution for how we're handling this card than really any other card that we've approached in the past. Now, Elestrals has done functional erratas in the past, and we've also done...
What's the functional errata on that? You normal cast this as Nectar. Special cast 2 egg Nectar from your handle deck.
in attack position with fire if you do. Oh, okay.
Escape from Tartarus versions of Elestrals to kind of reimagine some of our favorite Elestrals. However, in this case, we are going to be using an errata for Lycovoid Champion of Artemis to tweak its effects slightly to bring it more in line with the competitive metagame and the desires of our players. Lycovoid Champion of Artemis will be on the ban list from July 29th until Livestream releases. However, it will come off the ban list when Livestream releases with a brand new errata text that will be featured in the Artemis starter deck, as well as a new printing in Shattered Stars. This errata text is going to simply change the condition where Lycovoid can cast any number of werepups to now say that
special cast a werepup from your deck, suppressed for each suppressed card your opponent controls. Okay. So now it's more of a, it works more in line with suppression. This is still really good though.
Lycovoid can only cast werepups up to the number of suppressed cards on an opponent's field. I'm actually a really big fan of this change because I think it brings it more in line with what Werepup Champion of Artemis is trying to do, and what Artemis as a strategy as a whole is trying to do. And this will allow players to continue to explore splashing Moonrise Lycovoid into their decks, while also allowing suppression control-based decks to still use the power of Lycovoid, but more so focus within that archetype. Players will still be able to use their Firestorm or Stellar Rare Tournament Pack Lycovoids, but they'll need to refer to the updated errata text when competing. I'm really excited to hear your feedback to this approach, so please let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As I said, we have done erratas for cards in the past that did slightly change their functional effects. This is probably the most extreme case of this, and I wanted to try it out because, again, we were introducing the card again through Livestream starter decks, and it was a key card there. It's also being introduced in Shattered Stars with a very, very cool artwork that I want you guys to be able to enjoy. But ultimately, this is a great card that has a lot of space in the game. I think it's just came a little too early in the metagame, and it ultimately created some bad taste in people's mouths with it being overwhelming to play against. By switching it to the suppression-focused strategy, it's more in line of what the effect probably should have been from the get-go, and this is a great learning experience for us, so I encourage...
To be fair, the old werepup, like the limit werepup option, does the same thing. It makes this one want to be played in suppression-focused decks, because then you can still get it out and still get the powerful effect if you're playing a suppression-focused deck. This kind of does the same thing, but it's still very splashable. It's a 6/5 that you can get from just like a normal cast and an extra spirit.
I encourage you to leave your feedback on this approach for erratas in the future. We're going to continue to explore the Escape from Tartarus cards, and I'm looking forward to hearing how you feel about us doing this errata approach for very minor changes to card effects in the future. That concludes our ban and limited list for the upcoming format. There was a ton of cards that we tested and looked at, but ultimately decided to keep the changes to just these. I want to mention, I know there's been some discussions around the counter rune suite and the limiting of some of the power counter runes like Gorgon.
Well, we're getting a new PTA in the next set, so that's going to be interesting to see. Although I think the new PTA is an Invoke rune based on its position on the starter deck box. Phrasenator pointed that one out to me and was like, it looks like it's a starter rune. It's an Invoke rune. So it's going to be an Invoke rune and probably Lunar, because it's the Artemis's arrow.
Gaze, Shield of Achilles, Poison Tipped
More info on that on the Luminous channel.
Arrow, and a few others. My goal is to continue to introduce more elemental specific runes, especially counter runes, that allow more interesting play patterns and create more dynamic gameplay strategies, as opposed to cards that are splashable into every single deck. This is something that's going to take a little bit of time, and you'll continue to see it built off of and developed in Livestream and future sets. Once those sets come out and we've introduced more options for players, especially elemental specific options, then we can take a look at limiting some of these powerful counter runes to increase diversity among the metagame. It's worth noting that anytime you utilize a structure deck or starter deck, as long as it is unchanged, you can use it legally, even if it has banned or limited cards in it. Our team is going to continue testing various scenarios and monitoring the competitive metagame and the health of the game, both with the launch of Elestrals Clash.
These next starters look insane. They've all got like 2 Ambrosias and like 4 counter runes, like 4 strong counter runes. Like there's one that's got 2 shield, 2 Gorgons. Like if they hit shield and Gorgons, that thing is going to be crazy strong as a starter deck.
and the upcoming Premier events to ultimately make Elestrals the best card game we possibly can. Don't forget, Elestrals Clash launches on early access on July 29th with this ban list in effect. We've got a wishlist campaign right now to unlock the Stellar Werepup Buddy and more, and we've got a Gleam giveaway to win a Steam Deck, so don't miss out. That's all in the description below. August 2nd is our next Premier event, so make sure you guys sign up. We've got Premier packs, we've got epic prizing, and a lot of fun with this brand new ban and limited list that is going to shake things up immensely. I look forward to seeing the discussions and comments around this ban and limited list, and we'll continue to monitor feedback to make the best game we can. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.
Alright, so final thoughts. The Lack of Void hit is better than I expected, because I really thought Werepup was the hit, purely because Werepup is older. So really happy that they're just hitting the problem card. Really good to see. It means there's going to be a lot more diversity. You don't have to dedicate slots of your side deck to playing around this thing. The Kinleo hit is really cool because fire is really strong. So that's kind of nice. Morolith hit, again, Blistrix, so good right now. Hurricane hit, it's going to be interesting, but I think it's, as I said, it means that more people will be playing it, just that it'll be seen that people will draw it less. Do we play Find Us to find it? Not yet. We're not that desperate. Do we consider Boombat? Consider Equalinks? Consider Aviolith? Maybe not Aviolith. Boombat would be an interesting idea. I actually just built a Luna deck today that used Lack of Void Werepup, so I'm probably going to play that for the next week. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. Anyway, thanks for watching. And again, seriously, check out that video on the Luminous channel. That shit's so cool.